Hello, welcome back. This is SoulSchool. I'm Theolyn, and this is episode 4 of my series Release Your Radiant Being. I set myself up and offered you 4 sessions. I keep thinking that there's so much to say, I might have to do some more, but 4 is for now. Make sure that you're signed up to the YouTube channel subscription, and then when there is some more, you'll soon hear about it. So I've been covering radiance and how to release the radiance within you, and how the radiance is kind of subjugated in a way by issues relating to time and fate and karma. And so there's a kind of inhibiting factors that are naturally part of human life that it feels very difficult to escape from. And one of the most important things to do is to meditate. Now, meditation is a big topic, and it's a word that's used for various different kinds of interior processes. What I call meditation is not the same as mindfulness, quite the opposite. In fact, what one's hoping to achieve is mindlessness, so that the mind cuffs dissolve. And it's also not the same as a guided meditation or a guided journey or a visualization. I do offer those to students because those imaginary creative activities are really, really powerful and really helpful. But getting into a very deep state of meditation takes you naturally to the light. So that's why it's so significant. And what you do is you go beyond the everyday thoughts. That's why it's called transcending, going beyond. And in the 70s, when I learned transcendental meditation, that was when I first had my experience of being filled with light. Now, transcendental meditation was particularly sold in quite a commercial way by the Maharishi in the 60s and 70s and onwards. And sometimes it got very expensive and that put people off. But basically, it uses a sound shape, which in his tradition is called a mantra or sacred sound. And that's repeated in the mind. It's quite simple, actually. Much simpler than people imagine. In my teaching, I offer people a sacred sound, and it's derived from Hebrew, whereas a mantra sacred sound is derived from Sanskrit. And there's nothing to choose between those two sacred languages, actually. And in many cases, some of the sounds will overlap. I've had students say to me, oh, that zera, as I call it, that zera you just taught me is exactly the same as the mantra I got when I learned Transcendental Meditation, or TM as it was called. And because it's such a useful technique for releasing mind cuffs and going beyond your everyday thoughts, going beyond the mind chatter, or the monkey mind, some people call it, I also suggest that people learn that if they're working to release their radiant being. In fact, if you were to come on one of my radiant being courses, I would insist that you learn it. And quite often I will add it on as a bonus course for people joining the Zoom classes. And this is a kind of underpinning. I often suggest that getting to do the meditation is like preparing the ground for sowing your seeds. Just like a gardener does the hoeing and the raking and the composting. Then the mind has got a clear space, and you've raked away all the stones and the weeds and things like that. Spiritual gardening is a really useful concept, I find. And having that experience of transcending your everyday thoughts and moving into the light is so potent and so powerful that once it starts happening, and sometimes you have to work with your meditations technique for a while before it starts happening, but once it does start happening, you'll never forget it. It will never leave you, and you can go into that space under quite different circumstances. You don't always have to be sitting in a nice quiet meditation room with a sacred altar, and I've got a little sanctuary in my house where I meditate, but I can meditate on a train and still go into the light. In fact, I've meditated in a hospital waiting for somebody who was ill, and I found that beneficial, and the person in the bed clearly was benefiting by me sitting there doing the meditation. I also used it while I was giving birth to my last daughter, and that was a very magical event because I was able to drop into that space in between the contractions, right? The contractions are time-based, they come. That's what life is. Life is a series of contractions, you could say. And then in between those, while I was giving birth to my youngest daughter, I was in a state of bliss. And she certainly looked very blissful when she eventually arrived in the light of the hospital birthing room. So it's such a powerful technique. And I've just been talking about it for years, and I'm offering it to people who come on my course, Radiant Being, as a free bonus. I mean, you can sign up for it anyway on my website. And the reason that I'm just going off on that little tangent about meditation today is because without some kind of capacity to move yourself into that other realm, then a lot of the more intellectual or even the visualizations are less potent. And the visualizations can include journeys to meet different beings, different guides, different invisible supporters who can arrive for you. They're individual to you, some of them, or some of them are larger, more significant archetypal beings like the archangels. And you can work with them, you can call on them. But you have, you develop, as you go along with your meditation, you develop much more confidence and a kind of inner skills which will allow you to easily summon the help that you're hoping to bring into your daily arena. So it's not just a question of releasing your radiant being and having this new relationship with it in which you feel like that. It's your beloved, it's your other half, it's your twin. It's not just that, it's also that once you have that awareness, that knowledge, that gnosis, you can also feel confident that you can call on the energetic archangels, the archetypes that sustain the whole structure within the realm that we are working with. Because the archangels are transcendental, but they are also providing the invisible structure for what goes on in the world that we live in. And that's why it's so important to know and understand them, and will give you a perspective also on what is going on in the world generally. You'll start to understand the larger picture, not just of your own life, and your role in the tapestry of human history as an individual little person. But you will get a bigger picture of what that tapestry is about and the evolution of humanity generally. And that will give you much more confidence about how to live in the world as it is today, when there are a lot of scary elements, if you like. So I've covered quite a lot of deep topics very superficially, but if you come on my Radiant Being course, then you can ask more questions, and if you read the book, you can get some guidance, and I hope that that will be beneficial for you in your personal life, in your everyday activities, in your relationships, and generally speaking, in the way that you live and move in the world, because we all want to move gracefully. We all want to experience the joy and the delight that is available to humanity once we step into a new knowledge, a new understanding, and we start to live it. Many blessings. Go to my website, Theolyn.com, sign up, get lots of free content. Email me if you're interested in a course or interested in pre-ordering the book, Theolyn@Theolyn.com. Sign up for YouTube, then you'll know when there are more videos. Many blessings.